and welcome to The Pipeline. I'm your host, OG Pickle. Today, we are excited to have one of the most impactful and well-known esports directors in all of collegiate esports. From Doc Holliday to Doc Rivers to Doc Severinsen and even the likes of one Bugs Bunny, there's a long list of famous docs throughout the entertainment industry, but only one of those docs reigns supreme in the world of esports. Today, we're joined by Chris Doc Haskell. He's the esports director of Boise State. Yep, that's the one with the blue football field. But he's so much more than a director. He's a mentor, coach, and a whole personality. Doc, thanks for joining us today. How's it going?
Wow, that was an introduction that was so well written. Yeah, we're going to nominate that. I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Good to be here with you as well. You know, your reputation pursues you. I can't wait to jump in this interview. At the very beginning, for those who are unfamiliar with you, maybe they're unfamiliar with esports, maybe they're unfamiliar with the Boise State program. Let's start at the very beginning. Can you start with your journey? How did you get to this point? What made esports your destiny, your career? Just explain a little bit about the beginning.
My destiny. Feeling very Frodo in the ring at this moment. Like, how did I get this thing? What am I supposed to? Yeah. Honestly, I've been a professor here for about 15 years, and I was doing research for another keynote, and I thought, oh yeah, because I'm already in games as a professor, I'll do gaming clubs and esports, and that rabbit hole proved to be so deep I will never escape. I brought the idea forward to the university, saying it's kind of the gold rush moment. If we get in now, we can do big things. And I failed to nominate someone to lead the project, and alas, here I am.
So you've just inherited your own brain trust. You've had to pick up the pieces where you had set the path forward.
My wife says regularly, it doesn't pay to have good ideas. I'm like, you're right, it doesn't.
At least there's a consequence regardless, either good nor bad. You know, you can decide.
I love it. I honestly love it.
That's good to hear. Well, whether you're climbing the ranks of Mordor, making Lord of the Rings jokes or not, Boise State, regardless, has an incredible reputation in so many ways. I follow a lot of them just in the world of esports and watching that from production to competition. It's evident that you guys have a strong passion for esports on many levels. And for those of you watching this interview, you can see in the background, it's a terrific, that's real. I had to ask him, it's very much real in the background. Can you talk to us about why Boise State is such an amazing destination for esports, specifically at the collegiate level?
Wow. That is, to accept that question the way you asked it is to accept the praise, and I would humbly say we're not there yet. Honestly, UCI, RMU, when it was still an institution, Utah, Maryville, CC, all of these programs, we aspire to many of the things that they do and have become, and many, many more. Mizzou, Full Sail, Northwoods. There's so many really, really great programs out there. We just want to be able to live in this neighborhood, honestly. And try to do those things. We identified for us what was important on our campus. For Utah and AJ Dimmick, it was a realization of what the club was doing there, and all of the great work they had done. It was building on the backs of what the students wanted, right? For us, we're a Division I football school, famous blue turf. By the way, the player stage behind me here in our arena also covered with blue turf. It's kind of a thing we do. If I get a hairpiece, it has to be blue. I'm not going to get one. But
Naturally.
The idea for us is that we had to create a program with the persona of a Division I football program, because that's what speaks on our campus. And so everybody does the thing that they do, Harrisburg and Maryville being great examples of being kind of a marquee piece on their campus. For us, that doesn't work because we've got a football team that famously beats people with trick plays and then proposes right after the game, right? So for us, we had to live in that universe, and that means an arena. That means broadcasting. That means being a creator of lots of content.
I'm gonna go off the cuff a little bit. You have such a personality. It'd be a disservice not to explore a little bit. What in you have such a personality here, and you speak a lot about your program. I can tell you're humble with speaking about other programs, and to tell you, to be honest with you,
the most humble,
absolutely, yeah,
okay,
because it's without
pretty
question
much winning humble.
It's absolutely, you still have to be a winner. But what inspires you? I'm kind of just curious, like straight up from person to person. You speak so highly of the other schools. You speak so highly about what you do internally. I'm just curious to pick your brain. Like, what is it that each day that you go into your program, and what inspires you to make it more elite? What inspires you to benchmark off the others? What is it that's that burning passion for you?
Honestly, it's the continual growth. I mean, I've been a teacher for so long. We talk about lifelong learners and those kinds of of things in education in general. Honestly, it's the challenge of how do we do this thing that we haven't figured out how to do. We're here, the week before Christmas. We're reconfiguring our lights because we want to solve the puzzle of how can we make Overwatch look on camera very different than League of Legends does. How do we projection map in the room so we can create this? How do we change the lights? How do we create macros to change the lights? How do we create, introductory light sequences? And that's just one little question that is just a chain of little things that we ask. How do we recruit better? Who's recruiting well? What can we learn from them? When other people do pro lighting, how do they do it? What's the way they think? What videos can we watch? Who can we meet? I'm a big student of Pete Eminger from Blizzard. He's a big content producer there. He's been a show director, Overwatch League. I've got page and page in my book here mapped of different shows that he's done. So to your question, what inspires me? Honestly, figuring out how to do something that we don't know how to do yet and getting excited about those solutions. That's exciting. Yeah. It's not what other people think of you, because if you pause to wait for that feedback, you'll never get anywhere. And so for us, it's solving the thing that is cool, that's really interesting. We want to learn how to do this the way that these folks have done it. I want to learn, and I love Dan Clerky. Everybody knows Dan. I love the way his brain works. It's completely different than mine. I can't be Dan, but I'm always interested in understanding the way he thinks through certain problems, because we can learn from that and learn to change things. As you see, the colors are even changing around me as I become more enlightened.
It's a perfect plug. It's a perfect plug for the ambiance now matches the mentality. I like the marriage there. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but we're passionate about figuring out solutions to stuff so we can do cool things.
I like that. I think that kind of it's a layup for transition for my next question, because this whole thing is a working mechanic. You've been instrumental in molding the esports community as a whole over the past decade. I've been familiar with your work. I think a lot of people who have been in the industry, or at least familiar, have heard the name. What stands out about growth of collegiate esports? And then going back to your question, what do you think they can be a student of and learn and grow to do? You've mentioned how you're a student of the game. What can collegiate esports do to continually improve or be better, or be almost, like I said, a student and continue to grow?
Well, yeah, you've talked with some great ones too. I think of Dana as a perfect example. She and I have had lots of conversations that have just been precipitated from discoveries we've made. She talks about this too, so it's not out of school at all. We've discovered we're recruiting the same person, right? And originally, when you discover that, you're like, oh, there's some competitive juices. But I think that one of the things that is developing and will continue to develop is this idea of collegiate coaching and directing, whichever, and most people wear both hats, that we're actually all part of a profession that is just now coming of age. And while it doesn't feel like it yet, in 15 years, there will be trees, right, of all the people who worked with Kurt Melcher, all the people who worked with Kathy Chong and Mark Deppy in UCI, and the progress that they have made because they got their starts where they did. I think the thing that we are figuring out now in esports, collegiate esports specifically, and getting better at, and that needs to continue to get better, is the recognition of this as a profession, and that your colleagues are a really important part of that profession. Yes, we compete against each other, both in the games and in recruiting, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, because what we're The real opponent, and this was a big discovery for me, is the time and attention on your own campus and in your own community. That's the real competition, right? And in that, we're all allies on the same side. And I credit largely Mark, Kurt, AJ, Kathy for exposing what they had gone through early, like Mark sharing his pitch, his first pitch, right? It was online for a long time. I've got copies of it that I still share. Kathy walking me through their entire financial model. I flew down there and spent a couple days, and Kathy's like, okay, well, here's how we do this, and here's just this open book. So I know that it exists. The culture exists. And as new people come in, they tend to come in with the competitive mindset. And over time they go, oh, I get it. We're all part of the same world. Yes, we can still try to beat each other. That's fine. But that's a small fraction of our interaction. The rest of it is collegial. And we like each other an awful lot, except for the 60 minutes that we're going to be playing League of Legends against you. And then we're going to try to beat your butt. But I liked you before, I liked you after. It's just an hour that I hate your guts. It's
so interesting that you say that. A lot of people come in here and they talk about the program, but I think there is an arc back there that you're talking about where it's almost, while competition exists, collaboration is key right now to get this off of the ground to be as successful in collegiate esports as a whole. And that if they're not bound together, while you could run away with championships and seemingly do it, it could all be for naught, I think is the realization you're talking about, if we don't band together and build the foundation for others to potentially, compete for championships or be the cog in the larger machine. I also think it's really funny that you're the first person I've talked to that talks about almost this Belichickian era. You spoke of like a Bill everyone talks about in traditional sports, this Bill Belichick tree. This guy came here and he went to Detroit. This guy went to Tennessee, and he's a staff member from Bill Belichick. It is interesting that I do think in the decades to come that there will be these Mark Deputies who have, the trees you speak of being that the population across the United States who have been a part of these coaching trees. That's such a really a good take. And it leads me into my next question.
Okay.
As the growth of collegiate esports and these trees and these coaching, mentors and such lead to new adventures for some, what are 3 things that come to your mind that we need to make sure that we get right as a community with people coming in from the outside?
One, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Callum Fletcher famously says, college esports is not, a step to professional. The experience is different. College esports, like college sports, can be a professional experience, but it is not the precursor to professional. In fact, professional often is the precursor to collegiate play, right? So I think that's a really important thing. Another piece that I think is really important is that we need to essentially limit our experience and interaction with our students so that they still have a healthy relationship with the game. On our campus, we follow 24 weeks of contact, which is a expectation of our football team. We're always a little over because there are 2 seasons where football only has 1, but we try to just be organized for only 24 weeks of the year. And when we hit that end line, we'll have the party and we'll still, message back and forth and do the things, but we're not organizing scrims. We're not looking to get into tournaments. We're not, time steps away. And for college students, it's really important for their longevity in the game. And if the end goal is graduation, then they need time that's unstructured around the game so they can break up with it briefly if they want to, or they can fall in love with it again, which usually that's the cycle, right? And a third thing, I'm sure it'll come to me. Can I hold the third thing and then just blurt it out at some point?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do that.
Absolutely. I mean, even 3 could be double down on 1 and 2. Double down on your strengths. It's an easy 3. 3 is just a magic number. Doc, we don't have to have 3. It's just those 2 were very important steps.
I'm going to give you the third one will blow your mind.
You should just leave it on a cliffhanger, and then when we do a part 2 after your next championship or some kind of amazing thing, just blurt it out randomly, and people will wonder Like, is he okay? Like, did he just? I mean, can somebody
Yeah.
help this man? He seems to be yelling. But I think, we've covered everything that I needed to cover here at Boise State. I think you've shown that it's being a student of the game. It's having a passion each and every day. It's understanding that you are just a cog in the giant machine of esports that is moving us closer and closer to a professionalism or a nationwide adoption or even world adoption. It's learning from your mistakes. It's making sure you focus on the student. I could do a whole podcast with you about mental health because what you just said is such a light topic. You just said like they have a chance to break up with the game. We all go through it as gamers. Like it is such a dopamine infused, just serotonin mess sometimes with figuring out who you are online and who you are offline and what's your digital persona and what are you offline. So we could get into that, and I think maybe we'll set this up again because I think you have a ton of information and a breadth of knowledge that I think the world needs.
I'm old. I'm just old. That's what it is.
I call it experiential. I call it a monument of success. So we can label it however you want. You want to just go a heuristic might say old, but I don't go there. But the last little game I want to play with you, because you're not free yet, we have a little bit of a word game, word association game, sort of a la Family Feud without the rights, right? So no copyrights here, no DMCA. We're just gonna go through some rapid questions, and you answer them to the best of your ability with 60 seconds on the clock. Does that sound good?
Okay, let's go.
All right, here we go. The best part about competing in esports is blank.
Preparing.
The most rewarding aspect of your job is blank.
Seeing success on other people's faces.
Name any Looney Tunes character.
Elmer Fudd.
What's more important, graduation rate or championships?
Graduation rate. They're not even in the same currency.
Love that. In 5 years, esports at Boise State will be blank.
In a much larger sea of schools. I think we're going to get to that 880 moment where we cross with football.
Love that. Give me a piece of advice you always try to live by.
Try to find out what you will discover after the experience is done and apply it to the whole experience.
Name something you haven't done since high school gym class.
Climbed a rope.
Good job. That's it. That's our 60-second lightning round. That's Doc Haskell. Thanks again for joining us, and congratulations on your success. I mean that, man. This was awesome. It was great to hear from you.
You're awesome.
You're awesome, man. I don't need gassed up right now. This is the end of the interview. We got to do that at the beginning of the interview, so I keep the energy throughout. But thank you for all you do for the community from the bottom of my heart. As a streamer, someone who's been in this industry, as someone who lives and breathes Efuse right now, as someone who looks forward to seeing potentially my children one day grow up and have the opportunity to be a part of this collegiate adventure that may be esports for the founding fathers or people that have put the...
we should have that conversation about your kids because I think they'd make amazing Broncos.
Look at that.
We'll
I'm completely down. They're 2.5 and 5 weeks, so we've got some years in time, but I think as the foundation is strong at Boise State, we'll be seeing it from years to come. We look forward to seeing Boise State's success. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you.